Let's go, bro.
What's going on, guys? My name is NFT Flenny, and today we have a special video because I will be going over my ultimate Veve wish list, combination of 15 collectibles and comics that I want above all else. And I'll be explaining my reasoning as to why I want them, as well as showing you guys some of the price action of these collectibles and just my overall thoughts in general. Some of these, as you'll see, I want them for price or for investment reasons, and then some of them I want for nostalgic or more collecting reasons, and you'll see as I go. But I never thought I'd be able to afford these, and to be honest, I still probably won't be able to. But with prices as low as we've seen them recently, it got me thinking maybe I will have a second chance to get some of these blue chip grails that I've always wanted. And throughout this entire video, I will be using CherryCharts.com. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how much I love this website, how clean it is, how functional it is, how just honestly impressive it is. You guys will see in 1 second, but I cannot recommend this highly enough. I will put a link in the description below, and I use this for so many of my videos, so much of my research. And there's just been a new update which allows you to make customized lists, which is how I made my wish list. So I'll take you guys over there and we'll check it out. I would quickly like to mention that these prices are a bit out of date, but for the most part, they are still very similar to how they are today. And also, this is of course not financial advice and will never be financial advice. Here we see my wish list, and first up on the list is number 1, Eduardo Risso Batman. So the reason I want the Risso is because he is part of the first ever set to ever release on Veve. I know Todd gets a lot of publicity for being the first ever collectible on Veve, which is definitely deserved. Not only is it first on Veve, by the way, it's also the first Batman NFT, the first DC NFT. So, Todd for sure has its place, but Risso is also a part of that set, and it is the ultra rare in that set. So this makes for the bottleneck. This is the rarest collectible in the whole set, and you of course need it to complete it, which Risso is a very sought after piece because he is a key piece in completing the set, but it's a key piece in Veve's history in general. So if I take you over to the price action, he's actually, we'll see this for pretty much every collectible. We're going to see this huge drop off, so I'm not going to point it out with all of them, but he is the cheapest that he has been since December. If I had to bet on just a couple collectibles to do well long term, if I had to put my life on it or a bunch of money on it, Risso would definitely be up there just for the reasons I listed. Part of the first ever set, first ultra rare, the rarest in this set, etc. So Risso is definitely one that I have always wanted and continue to want to this day. Definitely up there toward the top. And if we jump back over to my overall wish list, we'll also see included from the same set is the number 86 Becky Cloonan Batman. This one isn't as much of a priority for me, but from that first ever set, I have Todd and I have the Joe Madureira. So I'm missing Risso and I'm missing Becky Cloonan, which you see right here. So if I can get the Risso, I for sure want Becky because I gotta just finish off that set, right? When I'm already that close. So that's one of my biggest regrets on Veve, is not finishing the first set when it was relatively affordable. It's a bit harder now, but hey, with prices coming down this much, maybe I'll have my opportunity. I don't have the $4,000 for Risso just yet, but hey, maybe one day, right? Maybe I can make a few plays. Next up, we got number 19, Steve Pugh Harley Quinn. So this one, I just really love how it looks. It's a first edition Harley Quinn, which, let me tell you guys a little something about these first editions, right? Let me back up for a second. Risso and Becky Cloonan, they are first edition Batman. Todd is the only first appearance Batman, but they're first edition. Similarly, the Steve Pugh Harley Quinn is also first edition. What makes these extra special is that there will never be a first edition character collectible ever again. This was at the start of Veve's life, and they were still working out the kinks. They were still working out how to name things, how to name the rarities, how to name the labels. And so since then, they have changed what first edition means. And under that criteria, it falls under like art and vehicles, objects. So we will never again on Veve, unless they change something again, we will never again on Veve see a first edition character collectible. Meaning that this Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red series will be the only set that has first edition Harley Quinns in it, and honestly, one of the only first edition characters on the entire app. And the reason I love the Steve Pugh is because, as I said, I love how it looks, but also it is the ultra rare in the set, meaning like the Risso, it's the bottleneck, it's the hardest one to get. So if we look at the price action for Steve Pugh, again, very similar, but they're still like so expensive, still $5,000. I did not know that at the peak that she was above $20,000. That is actually insane. So we still have a lot of collectibles to go over, and I don't want this video to be the length of a movie. So I'm still going to show you guys the price action, but I'm not going to go super in depth. I'm not going to always point it out for all of them. I'm mainly going to focus on why I want it, it being on my wish list and all, and what makes it valuable, what I think will make it valuable long term, and etc. So with that being said, let's move on to the fourth one. All together now, Steamboat Willie, the ultra rare. So the reason I love Steamboat Willie is because he is a staple of Disney. He is also one of the most iconic characters of all time, and I just don't think that his historical significance should be overlooked. Although on Veve he doesn't have a first appearance or a first edition tag, I think that will be a wash down the line. I don't think people even care about that. No, Steamboat Willie is recognized as the origin of Disney and the origin of what made Disney what it is today. And I know I just said I'm not going to talk about price action, but for this one I kind of need to. I feel like I never ever thought I would see it at 1,000 gems. That's all I'm going to say about that, and we're going to move on. Now we have the first comic of this list, and that is the Amazing Spider-Man #1 True Believer variant, which is the secret rare. And the reason I love this one so much is due to the fact that it is just one of the most iconic comic books of all time, one of the most popular, famous characters of all time. And it is also number 3 on Comics and Crypto's ranking list for the best comics on the Veve app for the long term. Everything Spider-Man on the Veve app seems to just do extremely well. So that is one of the main reasons that I want this comic. We are now moving on to the Ultimate Animated Secret Rare Black Panther collectible. I think this is one of the best looking collectibles on the entire app. Like, it is seriously one of the highest quality looking collectibles I've ever seen. But I also see it as a bit of a tribute to the late great Chadwick Boseman. I think it's cool that this is the first collectible that has come out since his passing, and that he is immortalized as a collectible, and that his character and the work that he's done for the character can live on. We are now on to our first golden moment of the list. That is Donald Duck and Daisy Duck. And honestly, I can't tell you all that much about why I like it. I mean, it's of course Disney. I really love Disney collectibles because I think they had the highest chance to be the most sought after, the most recognized, the most popular in the long term. But other than that, I've seen a few things saying that Donald Duck is one of the most popular of the Disney and Friends. But I mean, I honestly really can't say why I like it as much as I do or why I want it so bad. I think part of it is that it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was part of the second golden moment collection to drop. And it was the first golden moment that I could not get because I just couldn't afford it, and it wouldn't have made a lot of sense for me to go after and try to get it. So I was feeling kind of sad that I couldn't hold every single golden moment like I thought I was going to be able to when they first said that there would only be one set of golden moments. I thought I was set, but then when I couldn't hold all of them, I think I got kind of sad. So that's probably where this comes from. Let me show you guys the chart for this before I forget. And it's looking very attainable right now. Honestly, I probably could get it if I really wanted to, but I'm just not trusting any of these prices right now. And tax season kind of set me back a little bit. Next up, we have Edna Mode. And to put it plainly, guys, I just love Pixar. It was my childhood. It's some of my most fond memories of movies from my childhood, and I still to this day love going back and watching them. So I need to have the first ever Pixar set. It's not negotiable. I'm gonna have it. I've just been waiting because of the price action. Speaking of price action, I keep forgetting to put up the dang charts. I just need to have this first ever Pixar set, and I just need her and the Up House, and wow, ultra rare is 60. I can't stop talking about price. I know I said I wasn't going to, but that is insane. I've never seen an ultra rare that low, I don't think. We now have Green Goblin. We got one of the Marvel Mighties, and for a while, similar to, Donald Duck and Daisy Duck and the golden moments, I just now realized I just didn't give Daisy Duck any love when I was talking about the collectible. I only focused on Donald. Sorry, Daisy, but we gotta move on. This video is probably getting long. But Green Goblin, the Spider-Man Marvel Mighties set, was the first Marvel Mighties set that I was not able to complete. And also similar to Donald and Daisy Duck is, I don't know exactly why I want him so bad. I just think he looks cool, to be honest. And yeah, I just got one of those feelings. This is one of the things that I love about Veve, is that it just makes collecting so much fun. It gets you emotionally invested, and it's more fun than just trading numbers on a screen. We now have the second out of 3 comics on my wish list, and this is probably one of the most obvious ones. That is Marvel Comics #1 True Believer variant, the secret rare. So it's actually pretty crazy because I was around when this first dropped, and on the market it could have been going for lower, but I know for a fact it was going for like 1k gems. A bit later that day, 2k gems. And as you can see from the graph, it has hit a peak as high as close to 80,000 gems. And it's had, run-ups back up to, close to 60s, 70s. So the fact that it was on the market for 2k and it is now sitting at 20k, This is one of my biggest missed opportunities. And to be honest, I just didn't do my research. I wasn't educated enough on comics or the historical value of these comics or whatever, because I wasn't even thinking to go for it or to put down 1,000 gems. But the cat has been out of the bag for a while on this one. Everyone knows this is one of the best pieces you could possibly be holding on the whole app, and the price reflects that. So, I still keeping some hope that I can get it, but I'm really not setting my expectations very high. But if I'm able to get my hands on this one, I would be one happy Veveer. So speaking of my biggest regrets on Veve, that's a perfect segue into our next collectible, which is the Secret Rare Spider-Man Ultimate Animated. And this is very, very similar to Marvel Comics #1. I saw it for 1 to 2K. I just chose to not buy it. This one's actually even worse because with Marvel Comics #1, I just didn't know the value of it. I didn't know it was the first ever Marvel comic. I didn't know it was one of the most valuable comics in real life, the physical version of it. So this one's even worse because I knew it. I just didn't pull the trigger. But yeah, you can see down here, it's down way down here in the 1,000s, 2,000s, and I just didn't do it. So this is one of the best collectibles on the app. It's the first ever Marvel NFT, the first ever Spider-Man NFT. You name it, it's there. Only 1,000 editions. Along with all those things, it's also one of the rarest on the app. So man, I'm really kicking myself for this one. That's why it's on my wish list, because I still want it. Yeah, if I had to pick one collectible on the whole app that I could have that I don't have, it would honestly probably be this one. So that speaks for itself. That's why it's on my wish list. And then we'll just move straight into the next one, which is also Spider-Man, but this time it's a Marvel Mighty, but also a secret rare. And that is Spider-Man 2099. And the reason I want him is because I think the Marvel Mighties, I think there's more to them. I think there's more than meets the eye. I think it'll be turned into some kind of game or whatever. I personally think there'll be some kind of utility for these bad boys. And so I mentioned the Green Goblin set. That was the first time I couldn't complete the whole set. He's, of course, part of that set. So same reasoning here. We now have the last comic on my wish list, Star Wars #1. It came out very recently. I want the secret rare version. I always want the secret rare. And the reason I want this is because, I'm not like a huge Star Wars fan, but I would love to be a fan. I just haven't taken the time to get super into it, but I love the series. I enjoy watching it, and I want to see all the new shows that have coming out on Disney Plus, all that good stuff. But this is, of course, the origin of Star Wars, one of the most iconic, most well-known, most beloved franchises of all time. So to have the secret rare of the first ever comic NFT, man, I think it's pretty hard to go wrong with that one. But luckily, my girlfriend actually got this one on the drop, her first ever secret rare comic book after almost a year of consistently going for drops. So I was super excited for her, and that makes this one even more special. But if I can get my hands on it one day, I would love to do that. And then just to finish this off, guys, we're going to wrap it up quickly, and we're just going to get to the last two, which are both part of the Pixar Pals set. And I won't spend too long on these because I already gave my reasoning during the Edna collectible, but Pixar, childhood, nostalgia, need these for the set. They're on my wish list. So there we have it. Here's the Up House, and then here is Woody. Woody I want especially, well, honestly, these two I want a bit more than Edna, because I think the Up House looks amazing, and it just is perfect for AR pictures. And then Woody, Toy Story was like the first movie memory I have probably, and it was my favorite of the Pixar movies. So this is just, the cream of the crop up there. And who doesn't love Woody? There's a snake in his boot. We love him. And so above all else, out of the whole Pixar set, I want Woody the most because of personal reasons. So there we have it, guys. That is my complete Veve wish list, comics and collectibles. Let me know if you think I'm missing something. I know you guys don't know my whole collection or anything like that, but let me know what you wish you had, the top 3, whatever it is. And let me know what you think of mine. If you think I'm kind of off base, or if you're unsure why I would even want that in the first place, let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked, comment if you got something to say, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and of course, this is not financial advice and will never be financial advice. With all that being said, my name is NFT Flenny, and I'll catch you guys next time.